Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Tim here again, still talking about the Galaxy Note 10 and Galaxy Note 10 Plus. Yesterday we unboxed it, so now, like many of you, you're probably unboxing it, getting the phone set up. So let's go over the first 10 things to do with the Galaxy Note 10 and Note 10 Plus. The phones are essentially identical. You know, the Note 10 a bit smaller, lacks a few things such as expandable storage, but in terms of software, S Pen, things like that, it's all pretty much the same. So I can cover both devices with just having the 10 Plus in-house. So let's get straight to it. We're not going to talk about those initial things that you're going to want to do while you're setting up the phone, such as logging into a Samsung account so you can download themes and icons, logging into your Google account, come on. So let's go ahead. We're going to talk about some more, I wouldn't say advanced things, but just stuff you should probably think about doing as soon as you get it booted up. So first thing I would say, this is not part of my official list. I was actually just thinking about it when I was doing the video, but get yourself a cleaning cloth, because this backside, while it is very pretty, it gets it attracts fingerprints like no one's business. So get yourself a little microfiber cloth. Keep that in mind. So during setup, you're going to set up your first screen lock. And of course, being that this phone has a ultrasonic fingerprint reader, we suggest setting up the ultrasonic fingerprint reader. So that'll be your right thumb or left thumb, however you want to do that. But in the case that you want to set up a second fingerprint for unlocking, say someone else is holding the phone, they're like, hey, can you unlock it? And you just reach over, say with your index or something. It's always good just to have multiple fingerprints saved on the phone. So in order to do that, you can go right under biometrics and security. Kind of interesting that it's not coupled with lock screen. I don't know, that might be kind of different, but I guess it's okay that Samsung kind of just has them both in their own section. So underneath biometrics and security, you're going to see fingerprints, and then right here, if we get right in there, add fingerprint. And so of course it's just like setting up your initial fingerprint. You're going to scan it, etc., etc. We just usually recommend setting up a second one just in case. You never know. Also, instead of having fingerprint 1, fingerprint 2, etc., not knowing what they are, you can tap on those, change the name. So this one is my right thumb, and booyah, and I can save that. Now I know that's my right thumb. As you start adding more, it's probably a good thing to label them just so it's not thing 1, thing 2, thing 3 sort of thing. So keep that in mind. Of course, you can do different things besides just setting up fingerprints. You can add your facial recognition. You can, of course, once we get out of there, if you go back and see, this is where the lock screen versus biometrics and security gets sort of weird, because if you go back into the lock screen, then that's where you actually control pattern plus fingerprints or pin plus fingerprints. It's weird kind of how they separated them. The next thing, part of that with just securing your phone in general, is adding smart lock. We love smart lock. Smart lock, it can detect on body, it can have trusted places, so whenever I'm at home and the GPS from the phone detects that I'm in the area of my home, it's going to just remain unlocked, so I don't have to keep unlocking it myself. You can also add trusted devices, so via Bluetooth, say my Galaxy Buds are connected, whenever those are connected and they're in my ears, I won't have to unlock the device. So, beautiful thing to have. Moving on here. We're going to stay in the display section for quite a while, because I feel like more than half of what I'm going to talk about is actually right in this dedicated display section. So first thing I want to talk about is, as soon as I opened the phone and got it out of the box, I noticed that the screen mode was sort of like kind of odd looking, maybe more a bit yellowish. I actually thought the blue light filter was on out of the box. It wasn't. It was actually just set to this natural mode. So this is all personal preference, of course, but my opinion, you want to go vivid, keep it in between cool and warm. You could even, I don't think this display would be hindered at all by having it on vivid plus a bit more to the cool side. This way, to my eye, white looks white. Having that more natural, you're seeing a bit more yellow, might be hard to see through the camera, but either way, I'm going vivid. Going right the middle between cool and warm. Of course, you can get some examples for what your display is going to look like in different scenarios. Of course, there's advanced settings. You can mess with the RGB values. I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, it's not really necessary unless you really want to fine-tune what you're looking at. Moving on right down, or going back up, I suppose, from the screen mode. I want to talk about scheduling blue light filters and night mode, of course. So the blue light filter, I just have it set to come on at a custom time. So 10 at night, it automatically turns on. It's going to crank down the blues and up that orange. So I'm going to show you here. So the blue light filter on this phone, very effective, I would say. I turn the opacity all the way up. I've just got it scheduled for 10 p.m. to 8:15 the next day. And of course, if you give the blue light filter access to your phone's location, it will automatically turn on via sunset and sunrise. So pretty nifty. Heading on down, night mode. I've got the same thing, so you can always have night mode like always on, but I've just got it to do all turn on as scheduled. And so again, the start time 7 p.m. till 7 a.m. the next day. I'll just always see sort of the blackness, the awesomeness, I would say, that night mode that we've been talking about with Android 10, etc., etc. So just a nice little touch, having those things scheduled, that way you just don't have to keep manually turning them on and off via the system settings up here or anything like that. Just don't even mess with it. Next thing, under display, want to talk about display resolution or screen resolution. Samsung gives you 3 options: HD+, Full HD+, and WQHD+. The 3040 by 1440 is the max resolution for the display. I've got it on WQHD because I'm right in the middle of my battery testing and all that stuff to see if it really even makes a difference. For the average user, it's probably not. I would recommend just sticking on Full HD+ and then applying that. Out of the box, it's going to come Full HD+. The human eye is not really going to differentiate between the 2280 by the 3040, and especially like the games you're going to be playing, the content you're going to be watching, a lot of that's not really going to be in 4K or even 2K or 1440, whatever you want to call it. So you could probably just stick on the Full HD+ and be just fine. However, that option is there. That's what I've had it on. Everything looks good. Of course, my 4K wallpapers look incredible on the display. The camera probably doesn't do it justice, but this is a really, really gorgeous display, and I just wanted to take full advantage of all that resolution. So something you can keep in mind. Also in display, of course, is the navigation bar. If you watched our unboxing video, you'll know that one of the first things I do is change up this navigation bar. Samsung does this weird thing of having the back button on the right side. No offense to Samsung, that's just not how I roll. So navigation bar, first thing I do, I go to this bottom option, back on the left, home, and then recent apps. Of course, if you didn't know this about Samsung's kind of launcher, the navigation bar, it's got that same sort of kind of pie navigation mode set in there if you swipe on or kind of use that as the pill. And then also you can long press on the recents, pull up your recents and all that, and just kind of swiping from that middle, you can get through all of your recent applications like that, just like you can in Android Pie and Q if you're using the pill and all that good stuff. So just a nice little thing to keep in mind. From here, we could actually long press to get to our home screen settings, but this menu is actually accessible if you go from display and then scroll down and then home screen. So same menu, you can just access it 2 different ways. First thing I do is I mess with the home screen grid, I up it. So out of the box it comes 4x6, I go 5x5. That way my icons get a little bit smaller, I can fit a few more things on there. I can feel like I can sort of customize the size of my widgets a bit more. That's just something I prefer. But again, personal preference as always. You can do the same with the app screen grid. Again, it comes 4x6 out of the box, I put it 5x5. Just gives me more kind of visibility of things without having to scroll or anything like that. So also in the home screen, you've got a whole bunch of different settings you can choose from. I keep app icon badges on. So one thing I would recommend, swipe down for notification panel. This is a large phone, and if you don't have this option enabled, when you swipe down, it's going to actually open up your app drawer. I can show you that real quick if we do that fancy move right there. Home screen, and then we're going to swipe down for notification panel. So this is off out of the box. So, and what happens when it is off is when you swipe down, it opens up your app drawer, and you just keep swiping up. Up swipe is the same, down swipe is the same. So what I do, not a huge fan of that. Home screen, swipe down for notification panel. So when I'm one-handed, I don't have to reach all the way up here to drag that down. I just simply drag down in the screen. I've got my notification panel. I can expand that. And then when I swipe up, I open up my app drawer. That just seems a bit more intuitive to me. Again, a lot of this, thankfully, is personal preference. That's why you gotta love Android, right? I guess iOS can be kind of customized like that too, but I'm just throwing out those knocks. Anyway, last one. Moving down for display, we've got Edge Screen. Edge Screen and Edge Panel. So Edge Panel, of course, is this panel right here that you can draw out from the right side of the device. Not the biggest fan because it hasn't really changed all that much over the years, ever since the Galaxy S6 Edge, I think was that first one. And there's just not a lot to do. You've got your Apps Edge, and of course you can add new edges such as your People Edge, Live Messages, Smart Select, Task Edge, Weather, Quick Tools. There's just a lot of stuff, but not a lot of stuff that I need. So one of those first things I do is that when I open up a Galaxy phone, I disable Edge Panels. You can or don't have to if you don't want to. That's totally fine. I keep Edge lighting on. I don't know why. I never really see it work, probably because I have the phone face up, and I think it's only if you have it face down on the table you can kind of see a light glow around it. I don't know, either way. So just one of those things that I disable right out of the box. So the next one is a big one if you're coming from a Pixel phone or a non-Samsung phone. If you've been using a non-Samsung phone for a while, you'll know that Google Autofill is incredibly valuable in terms of logging into applications and websites, especially when you're setting up a new phone. However, if you're coming from a Galaxy phone, you may have already been using Samsung Pass, so don't know how too valuable it's going to be. Either way, let's talk about Autofill. So under General Management and Language and Input, if we scroll down a bit, you're going to see Autofill Service. I've got mine set to Google. Google is, if I've been using a OnePlus phone or a Pixel phone and I'm coming to a Galaxy phone, I'm going to want to have Google because that already has all my information, while Samsung Pass will not have all my information. So you can log into that, and then actually I was going to show you here. Cancel. Hit that little gear icon, and you're going to be able to kind of customize all that autofill settings for addresses, payment methods, passwords, etc., etc. So just a nice little hint there for anyone coming from a non-Galaxy phone to a Galaxy phone, or coming from a Galaxy to a Galaxy if you want to switch to Google's autofill that works across different platforms. Just good to know that that setting is actually there, because Samsung Pass is the default out of the box, of course. So knowing where that autofill setting is very important and valuable. Next, we're going to go to lock screen and talk about notifications. Out of the box, notifications are only badge or like app icons to see which notifications are there, and I think me and Kellen struggled with this last year because this is a sort of a new implementation by Samsung in terms of lock screen and notifications. So right here on the notifications part under lock screen, you can tap on that. This lets you customize the look of notifications on the lock screen. Extremely valuable. So view style, we want detailed. Out of the box, it's icons only. That's not really helpful. So view screen or view style, detailed. We don't want to hide content. I kind of up the transparency a little bit just so it looks kind of cool on the lock screen. If you have it low, and then it's going to auto reverse text color, so you won't have to worry about if it's black or white up there if it's just set to auto. So I keep mine sort of right there in the terms of transparency. Then also I want to show notifications on the always on display, so I've got show on always on display. Nice little setting here. I like that you're able to customize that, so props to Samsung for that. Much appreciated. Just like last year and years prior and all these Galaxy phones, we have to talk about advanced features. Lots of advanced features on this phone, but the big one here is that they removed the power button from the right side. Now they just have side key. Side key is essentially your power button, except now they also have a dedicated power settings right here in the pull down menu. But for side key, I've got mine set to quick launch camera when I double press. You can also disable double press if you want. You can also open any app you want. And then when you press and hold, they want you to wake Bixby, but I refuse. I just press and hold for the power off menu. That way I don't have to worry about that being a dedicated Bixby button or anything. Essentially, this phone does not have a Bixby button unless you want it to. Beautiful. Not sure how I feel yet about the power button. I'm right-handed, so I'm not quite comfortable yet with the power button being on the left side, but considering how tall the phone is and where Samsung was placing power buttons way up here, this actually isn't that bad of an implementation. So, wanted to talk about side key. Moving on, want to talk about motions and gestures. These are all personal preference things. You can either enable or disable lift to wake, double tap to wake, so when the screen is off, I can just double tap it if I have smart unlock, or of course you can just have your fingerprint unlock it that way. Smart stay, the phone is always going to be watching your eyes to see if you're still looking at the display. I kind of keep that off. I'm sort of paranoid. Just kidding. Smart alert on, easy mute on, one-handed mode. It's there if you need it. If you're kind of like, say, walking the dogs and you can't reach all the way over there, it could be dangerous. I would just, suggest one-handed mode. There's also little shortcuts you can do to enable one-handed mode real quickly. Palm swipe to capture screenshots, all that. Swipe to call or send messages. Just leave that on. But yeah, a lot of different settings, of course, and advanced features. None that I really need to talk about in terms of first 10 things to do. We could dive in that and tips and tricks and talk about S Pen, all that stuff. That'll be a separate video. These are just the first 10 things you want to do out of the box. Next, we want to talk about sound customization. Under sounds and vibration, of course, we need to find system sounds and vibration. So touch sound is kind of an annoying Samsung touch sound. I have do not disturb on, so you won't be able to hear it, but it's kind of an annoying click. So I just disable touch sounds, I disable screen lock sound, disable charging sound. I leave that dialing keypad tone, that boop, beep, boop, boop, because I like doing the funky town songs sometimes. Keyboard sound, turn that off. That's only for the Samsung keyboard. I'll talk about that here in a minute. Keyboard vibration, touch vibration. And then also underneath sounds and vibration, you can talk about vibration intensity. So for the touch interaction out of the box, I think it's down on the second. I guess 1, 2. It's down on 2. I take it up to 3, and then 4 and 5. I like 3. Just feels right to me. But of course, that's customizable. And then, of course, the vibration intensity for calls and notifications, that can all be tweaked as well. So, nice little things to do. I was talking about Do Not Disturb. Underneath the, I know where this is, under notifications, is where you're going to find the Do Not Disturb. And again, like those things with night mode, like blue light filter, I always turn on as scheduled. Mine comes on at 10:30, doesn't turn off until 7:50 the next day. I have it block all notifications. It's just nice. It helps you kind of wind down. Of course, you can allow exceptions where emergency calls coming in or important text coming in will still get through. But, if I'm just getting junk emails at 10 at night, not that important, I just Do Not Disturb. Absolutely love it. Moving on, we're going to talk about the home screen. So, the question is, Bixby Home or no Bixby Home? For me, personally, I'm a no Bixby Home guy, but once you get it set up, you can have it pull in Twitter trends and Flipboard news, Samsung Pay stuff, etc., etc. Just not for me. If you want to disable it, pinch on the home screen, swipe over, disable right there, and then we are done with Bixby Home. It won't go back over. So that's basically Bixby Home. If you want real quickly, I can tell you can go into settings here. You can Bixby Home content providers. You can kind of switch up things, pull in some new feeds, I think from Uber and Lyft or something. You can, of course, add a Bixby Home icon. Not really a fan. You can talk about Galaxy themes in there. There's just a lot of options, I suppose. If you're more invested in Bixby and Samsung's ecosystem, definitely give it a try. Moving on here, we're going to talk about pull-down customization. So the notification bar is still alive and well in Android, but I want to talk about customizing all these things. Out of the box, there was like a gazillion. So underneath button order, you're going to see all these different system settings. All of these things you see up here are ones that I've already taken down. So there was like 20 pages of system icon or system toggles going on. I whittled it down to 1 page. There are a couple that I think could still be useful, like maybe having quick toggles for night mode and always on display, or the navigation bar. But really, I just don't want to fumble through a bunch of things, especially if I can access all that from the settings menu already. So you can just click and drag. You click, drag up, reorder. If I want airplane mode down here, not a problem. You can just do all of that, then click done. It's going to save all that, and you're going to have all of your customization and your order saved right there for the system toggles. And since system toggles and the brightness slider is such a big deal with Android in terms of navigation, it's just good to have that option there. The next one here is, so you'll notice that when you pull the device out of the box, you're not going to see the brightness slider right there. Actually, you have to customize that, hit that little flag, and then show control on top. So that's how it is out of the box. You have to do another one, and then the brightness is all the way down here at the bottom. So hit that little flag, show control on top. That way, as soon as you pull down your notification drawer, there's your brightness setting. You can just have that there and ready to go. Also, these median devices, this can be hidden. If you go, oh boy, I remember how to do this. Oh god, oh god, oh god. I remember how to do this. Where is it? Not details. Oh no, I'm spacing on how to do it. Either way, so there is a setting for the media and devices. There should just be a setting for it, but again, man, this is why sometimes, oh, thank goodness. So if you pull all the way down, sorry about that, kind of forget like where everything is sometimes. If you pull down that second time, you're going to see the 3 buttons right next to that settings gear icon. Hit the 3 buttons, hide media and devices. The media and devices is cool, I guess, if you always have something sort of connected, or if you want to be able to control other devices via the phone, like smart home devices, things like that, from your pull down. I don't have any smart things connected, so I just hide that, and it just kind of cleans up that entire area up there quite a bit, so I'm a fan of that. Next thing, set up Samsung Pay. Samsung Pay is awesome. I can finally use it with my own bank, so I've been using it. I absolutely love it. Set up Samsung Pay. If it works with your bank, at least, it uses NFC and MST, so you can use it universally anywhere, or essentially anywhere. I don't want to be redundant. And yeah, I would suggest Samsung Pay over Google Pay, at least when you're using a Galaxy phone. On other phones, you just don't have an option. So, next thing I want to talk about, themes. If you long press, you can go into themes here. You can download paid themes, free themes. They have material dark themes, just a whole bunch of different themes. Of course, you can customize your icons. That's for once you get everything set up, you really want to start customizing the look of the device. Definitely recommend. Next thing, I want to talk about downloading Gboard. Gboard, I find to be a bit more user-friendly over Samsung's keyboard, so I always recommend downloading Gboard from Google Play, Google's keyboard. And then lastly, for the Galaxy Note 10 Plus, micro SD expandable storage here in the top right. Don't have that on the smaller Galaxy Note 10. We're not still sure why Samsung decided to ditch that, but it's not there. So yeah, there you go. That's like 12 plus things to do when you first boot up your Galaxy Note 10. Whole lot of stuff. You might have to rewatch the video a few times. No problems if you do. I hope this was useful. If you guys have any questions or comments about the Galaxy Note 10, feel free to leave them down in the description below, and I will try to field them. And be on the lookout for tons more Galaxy Note 10 and Note 10 Plus coverage coming up. We are Droid Life. Peace.